Hi, you guys. Ooh, I'm super jazzed as per usual for what Amy Belair and I are going to share with you today. So this is the second episode of Oracles Gone Wild. For those of you who don't know me, I am Andrea Donnelly, and we are here as two Oracles Gone Wild to share our insights and our vision and what we see unfolding as we move into 2026 and beyond. For those of you who don't know Amy, she is the host of a absolutely chef's kiss perfection, very deep, very funny, very wise podcast called Third Eye Awakening. You can find on all the platforms. In our first episode, I linked to, I think, like four of the conversations we've had on that platform, which are all really fun. So you can go back into the first episode, the Revolution of Love episode, and you can like catch up and, listen to our wisdom because truly all of that is timeless and her show in general is amazing. She is an Akashic Oracle. She helps people all over the world to reclaim their sovereignty and their magic and their power and their light through her phenomenally unique, really profound way of expressing her own wisdom and magic. And I do something very similar. I also really my goal in everything that I do as a shamanic healer and an oracle is to really help you to reclaim your soul history and memories, your power, your magic, your light, and be able to essentially, and I think this is true of both of us, to really, we both have a very powerful shared mission that expresses differently, but it is ultimately to help you extricate from the false matrix and remember who the fuck you are and really just like unplug from these systems because the truth is we don't need these systems. The system needs us. So anyway, welcome to episode number 2. We are so happy to have you here. Please like, follow, subscribe, comment, share this with everyone far and wide. Subscribe to both of our channels. You can find Amy on Instagram at Cosmic Oracle. You can find me on Instagram at See Witchery. I will also link in the show notes to both of our websites. And really, we'll circle back to this at the end. But if there was ever a time, okay, you guys, to work with Amy and I, it is now. Like I cannot overemphasize how important this time that we are moving through is, and how this is really a time to go deep on your own restoration and activation and remembrance. And there's really no one else from my perspective who's able to help you with that process in the way that Amy and I are able to help people with that process. So anyway, give us all your money and also give us all your clown paper because it's really what money is at this point. And we will eventually, on one of the episodes, perhaps episode 3, we're going to talk a little bit more about, money and what we see unfolding. But yeah, work with us. It's really time. So anyway, Amy, hello, welcome.
Hey, sister. I'm so excited to
Hi.
be here. And today we're going to dive into AI and share some of our thoughts about AI, right? I
Yeah.
wonder if we should qualify first what we mean when we say that we are oracles and sort of what sets the hot takes that we share here apart
Yeah.
from the hot takes provided by many really gifted content creators who are more of the research-based types.
Yeah.
I kind of see for myself as an oracle, I'm less of a traditional researcher, but I do a lot of research. It's just through the primary vehicle that I use is the Akashic Records, if you can even call it a vehicle. It's really just like the compendium of all thoughts, words, deeds, emotions, every accumulated experience that has been had throughout all time in this universe. And I also believe that it includes the multiverse as I continue to expand in the Akashic Records. So the perspectives that I share are not research based in a traditional way, but they are I have my own deep research based process. It just more involves I guess for lack of a better term, you could call it astral research, although it's not limited to the astral. And to me, Oracle means being able to move fluidly through time, past, present, and future, so that it is not a it's both a linear awareness and like of successive moments, that go from past to present to future, but also in a quantum awareness where you can move through time as a medium in all directions. You can access past lives, you can access future timelines from right now. And it's I don't know, a gift that I believe that I've always had, but also that I've put in a lot of time to cultivate. And I know that you have too, Andrea.
Yeah. Yeah, I would concur with everything you just said. I think you articulated it beautifully. And, it's very similar for me. And it's funny for me because I am both doing a lot of, we'll call it like cosmic research. And really, from the time I have memories as a baby, I have known that this planet was a clown show essentially. Like I have going back to like my earliest memories, I've just understood that like I was born in this body to do something very specific, which is help people remember who they are. And obviously, it came online in a deeper way over time, but I've just always been very aware of the fact that like none of what we're told is accurate. I've always been able to really, I say see, but it's like much more complex than that. It's seeing, it's smelling, it's tasting, it's touching, it's the claircognizant, the knowing. I've always known tons of stuff about people, systems, things that when I tune into things and I like can see them and know them and understand them to be true. And then when I go in and I do the 3D research, it backs up what I know to be true. And so in terms of the way that I share information, I tend to do it in a more like energetic and emotional way, but I've been saying this for a long time. Like, I'm an evergreen nerd for life. Like, I have like pages and like documents going back decades of like 3D research that I've done that backs up the stuff that I see and know to be true that I go in and do after the fact to like verify what I'm saying. And I don't share a lot of that because to me, it's not, there are other people to your point at the beginning who I feel like their call is to share the 3D research. And I spend a ton of my own time, listening to podcasts, reading books. Like I do a ton of that research. But for me, like it's not someone like you and I are meant to really share. Like to me, it's like the bird's eye view. It's like this much more bigger energetic vision of how all of this plays out. And there are a lot of people who are able to like succinctly go through the research in a much more like linear logical way than I would ever be able to. But it's not that I'm not getting out there and verifying the things that I know to be true. It's just that I don't think that's my like real purpose. My purpose is to like be here with you as an oracle, as a visionary, as someone who's always been able to like time travel essentially, right? To like go backwards and forwards and up and down and outside of this realm and essentially like what I think of it as like going like straight home to like God or like true creator. Um, it's actually funny because a couple of years ago, we were talking about this before we started, but I feel like I'm supposed to share it now. So here we go. As it relates, I feel like it kind of beautifully bridges into AI and then also like what we'll talk about potentially in the next episode. But a few years ago, I got like a galactic Akashic reading with someone, and she was like, "You were originally born from true creator you were a pink plasma beam of love who chose to incarnate in a group of like the highest order of cosmic guardians of the galaxy in this like family of beings who travel through all of space and time and essentially restore cosmic justice and order and stewardship and truth and peace. And this is like you've never it was she said something so funny too as like part of that. She was like, you've never just come to Earth and been like a dog groomer or been able to just have like a chill life where you just like as much as that's even possible in this realm, given what we're up against. But she was like, you've never like you only do this. This is what you do everywhere you go. And you chose to do that because you were literally the like embodied vibration of love. And I feel the same way about you. I feel like you are the living embodiment of love. And when you are the living embodiment of love and you are here, I'm like, sorry, I can feel it in my voice. I'm starting to get like misty in the eyes and the heart. When you are that way of vision, of expression, there are, you and I are meant to like create a depth of experience that also getting sort of again, it's not that the 3D research isn't important, but I think that people can get really hung up on the like facts and the logic and that part of it. And again, it's not that that's not important, but I think that from a broader perspective, the thing that's really going to shift things is for all of us to really engage in a very profound depth of experience. And to me, that's what an oracle is here to do, is to really integrate a level of profound wisdom, of soul retrieval, of poetry, of shamanic capacity to be able to journey into the shadow, into the darkest parts of us, and be able to help us just remember that those things are all essentially part, from my perspective. I think most people have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about the shadow. I think that's why most shadow work doesn't work. And I think that there's like a way where a lot of what we perceive to be the shadow actually elements of distortion from the false matrix. And from my perspective, an oracle's job also of many of the many of the oracular hats that we wear is to like clear that from people's field, because what lies underneath that is essentially the key to heaven on earth.
Yeah. And to me, heaven on earth is absolutely real. And it is here. It is just a phase shift away. It's
Yeah,
it's it's a shift in it's sort of like if we were on a piano keyboard, we've been on the black keys and heaven on earth is on the white keys. And that is a symbol. There is no coded anything. Do not accuse me of being on like the alt-right pipeline because of what I say. But it's just an analogy to understand like the whole thing is there. It's all one keyboard. It's all one realm. Like it's all together here. We just have to shift our attention into the decoding and the rendering of the beautiful original the spiral code, the divine template, that vibration is already here. It's just that we've been heavily, heavily programmed to pay attention to distortion vibrations. And as we do that, we decode it and render it into a manifested experience of reality. And we assume that that's all there is. It's not all there is. This whole shit show we're experiencing is not absolute truth. It is a reality we're experiencing, but it is not the absolute truth and is not the only option available.
no,
So, okay, well, let's talk about AI. There's
yeah.
so much I mean, I've been sort of like bottling this up for a while, so, and we're trying to keep these concise. Uh, so I guess I'll pick the most like alive aspect of AI that I want to talk about today, but it's not the only aspect. But so what I see is that I kind of believe in the mythology of the fallen angels. Um, And I take it all with a grain of salt. It's all interpretations of like bigger energies through stories that we can understand. But the reason that I resonate with the fallen angels myth is because I can see that higher dimensional beings, aka archons, have beautified themselves and presented them to us at various points in history, with all this allure, this glamour over top of themselves. And they come bearing gifts, but those gifts are laced with poison. And the sort of like angle that they use to peddle these gifts and convince us to accept them and go deeper and deeper into their trap is ease and convenience and comfort and distraction. And all of those things are, I don't think we're wrong for wanting those. It's just that we never read the fine print. And we do not, like, for some reason, well, I know it's not some random reason. I know why we don't learn this lesson, but like, it comes with fine print. It always comes with a price. They are never just giving us these things for the pure, like, reason of wanting to elevate humanity. Otherwise, we wouldn't find ourselves here in this, like, chaotic shit show. And AI is another example of that. So it's offered to us as a tool of convenience, and certainly it makes things more convenient. And I'm also not advocating that we, struggle and suffer in like lives of toil. It's, I believe there's another way. Don't get me started. I believe there's another way, but the point is they offer us these tools, and we start to experience an atrophy of our own skills, and those skills begin to disappear, and we become reliant on those tools, and then suddenly we're sort of like more deeply enslaved to those tools. And that's what I see with AI. I will never, I like, Andrea and I were talking before we hit record. I a couple times have lost Zoom recordings for group calls that I've done, and it's been very frustrating. And so I enlisted an AI tool to create a backup recording, and it also creates a backup transcript. There are ways that I use AI, so I'm also not trying to judge anyone from my sanctimonious high horse of like how great I am because I don't use AI. It's more just bringing awareness to like what is the true cost of this, and how can we mitigate the effect of that poison that this gift is laced with. And today, oh my God, I've been feeling kind of fragile today. And I happened upon a YouTube video that was a compilation of, I guess, like people's TikToks or shorts or reels or something, but it was filming their young children's very bizarre reactions to Alexa or Hey Google. And these children were like at most 3 or 4 years old, very young. And it really hits me tenderly because I have a 4-year old. And also, I'm just here for the babies. And basically like all these different children just from all around the world did like parents speaking different languages, different countries, different cultures, they all reacted in almost exactly the same way, which was if they heard Alexa or Hey Google, not the voice of Alexa. They heard their parents speaking to Alexa and then Alexa speaking back or saying, Hey Google, turn on the light, and then the light goes on. The children would immediately drop into a position of prostration and start crying. And the fucked up thing, Andrea, is that the parents were laughing. They had noticed this, and they were laughing and trying to get it on film because they thought it was cute so that they could post it to their social media. And I'm just watching this and I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? Like these pure babies, we need to trust their response. They're picking up on something that, for whatever reason, we're not picking up on. And it is highly alarming that 2-year-olds are like immediately dropping to their knees and like, stretching their hands out in like deferent submission to Alexa or Hey Google and crying. This is messed up. There were so many videos. I had to start speeding through them because I started sobbing. It was so devastating to see that. And we have to appreciate that there's like we don't just get to receive these conveniences and be let off scot-free and like, oh, it's great. We just don't have to work now. And another little rant I'll briefly touch on before I, pass it over to you is you and I both being in the industry that we are, meaning that we have decided to go out on a limb and offer our wacky gifts to the world and create a business out of it, and that we mostly share ourselves online as opposed to just, our local community. Um, there has been an explosion of like, buy my chat GPT, my, specific chat GPT, my thing, this or that to like help you create content, help you create sales pages, help you do this and that. And obviously that's just one way that people use chat GPT. But what I see is that one of our most sacred and powerful chakras is our throat. Our voice is so sacred, and it literally creates the pyramids, like the stone circles, all of the ancient, like sites of like feats of architecture that we can't comprehend is cymatics. It was all built by cymatics, and the majority of it was created by like the advanced activation of our voice technology. And we are being conned into handing our voices over to AI. It's so messed up. It is so messed up. Not only that, but I love you guys. I want to talk to you myself. I don't like what else am I doing with my time other than actually writing a sales page for you to read, from me as a human to you as a human, or writing content, or I tend to more record podcasts, creating content from my voice to share with you. Like just the idea that I would offload these as tasks to AI to do for me when I literally used to dream of this business. All I wanted was to do this. Why would I give it to AI? To do what else with my time? It's crazy. Anyway, okay, I've monopolized too much of this. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, I love all of this. I am here for everything that you have said. I agree with you categorically about every single thing that you've said. And I just okay, so I was up the other night at 3 a.m. Making notes about this so that I would be able to really stay on track. And I'm gonna just all right, a few I hate even having to say this, but like I have a few little disclaimers before I dive into my build on this because I think everything Amy said is like profoundly important. I think that there is, I'll get into my disclaimers in a second, but ultimately, I feel like, and I've been saying this for years, and I know you have too, there is no, we, there is no, we hold all the technology that we need. And you beautifully articulated it as it relates to like structures. There is nothing outside of us that is more powerful than us, than our heart, than our whatever you want to call it, divine intelligence, spiritual intelligence, soul intelligence. It doesn't matter what lens of perception you post onto it. There's nothing outside of us that is more powerful than us. This is absolutely an effort, one more of their many different ways that they are attempting to steal our, I hate this word so much, but it's simple and people get it. And I always make a grossed out face when I say it because it's so gross. Luge. Ugh, it's such a gross word, but it articulates something very clear. And people, and you guys get it when I say that. I could call it energy extraction, whatever we want to call it. It is 100% to your point, efforts to distract us, to take our essence and create bullshit because this is why this conversation is so important, right? You guys, is because if we hold all the power, which we do, and we're getting snookered by these systems that are extracting our energy. I have a whole process I created recently called Reclaiming Your Gold because I believe, and I know Amy agrees with this, we are the gold standard. And the gold standard doesn't even exist anymore, but if it ever did exist, it's because we are the gold standard. Our energy is being harnessed, and AI is one of a series of different efforts on the part of the archons and the controllers to try to create massive distraction and to disconnect us from our own massive divine intelligence, which is more powerful than anything that exists anywhere, any who, anyhow. We're literally extensions of true creator. And so my disclaimers, all right. So, and you guys just stick with me, please. If you're like, wow, she's really like weaving a lot together. Just what's she even talking about? I promise that there's a punchline to this because it's so, all right. So my disclaimer is I'm not a doctor. Okay. I just want, like, I'm saying these things. This is not medical advice. This is, alleged and in my opinion, as it were. But there are three things I'm going to call out because I think that they're like inextricably in my brain from that oracular point of view that we were calling forward and diving into at the beginning. They're all part of the same effort, essentially, to disconnect us from our souls. And and I also want to say too, there's in no way limited to these three things. There are a lot more of these things that exist, but I would say these are three really big current things that I see as part of it. All right. So when I tune into like the energetic threads and the frequencies and their origin points in people's fields that essentially oppress their ability to be able to master their own divine intelligence. There are a couple of really big things that have happened, especially in the past few years, that are really being like that were rolled out to tamper with our capacity to essentially manifest and create on our own heaven on earth. One of them is, we'll call it the Covivi jibber jab. Okay. When I knew from the very beginning that that was absolute chicanery. There's a lot more that goes into that, but it was very clear to me that there was something very dark about that. It was part of a dark agenda to essentially disconnect us from our soul. So there's like issue number one. Okay. The second one is AI. Okay. So AI is like definitely being used to not just distract us from our own truth and our ability to be able to change this realm in literally the blink of an eye. I mean, that's one thing that I think you and I really like both understand is this is so unnecessary. There is so much trauma. There are these endless cycles of pain and trauma and drama and karma and pain, and all of it is completely unnecessary. And we could all literally choose in this moment to not participate in it anymore, and it would be over. And AI is 100% an effort to extract our essence and continue to hook us into these bullshit systems. And the third thing that I was thinking as I was weaving this all together, this picture, and I'm gonna like tie this together in a second and like sort of talk about more of what I see present in people who are participating in these things in a very big way, what I see in their field, because it's not good. Interestingly, one of the third thing is these weight loss drugs. And there are a couple of there, and I know you're like like you immediately understand what I'm saying. And here's the thing. When I look at people, okay, so one of the things I'm really good at as an oracle is I can literally look at a person. I can see, oof, I had just thinking about it makes me so excited. I'm like smiling and jazzy and like getting really lit up. I can literally look at anybody and I can see what their soul was created by God, by true creator to express. I can see your profound magic and gifts. And then I can also see by scanning people's field, their bodies, I can see what is dampening that expression of your powerful truth. And when I look at people who have participated in the jibber jab, who are getting real lost in the sauce with AI, right? Because there are people out there, you mentioned it, people who are entrepreneurs who are like, buy my thing, it's gonna da, da, da. And there are all kinds of people who not just individual entrepreneurs, but two of the biggest spiritual platforms that exist on this planet, which I will not name, but I think that you can easily perhaps figure out who I'm talking about. Both of them recently, I saw one of them is offering like a platform that's like basically like an AI oracle to help be your like spiritual mentor and coach that's now part of like some membership that they offer, which is fucking grotesque. AI is not your teacher. It's not your oracle. It's not your spiritual advisor. It's not your coach. It's not your best friend. And I also think this also there's like a lot of like loneliness. There's talk about like loneliness epidemic, blah, blah, blah. AI is 100% attempting to come in and be a replacement for human connection. And the way that we make it through these insane times through which we move, I call it a crazy train. Shout out to Ozzy Osbourne, who is definitely part of the drama and the overarching systems of archonic control, but also his music is, it really does hit in spite of all that, right? We're living in a complex, experiential realm where many things can be true at once. So shout out to Crazy Train here, which I might pop in the comments. And it's like attempting to fill a void essentially that can only be filled by heart connection. It
Mhm.
can never, there is nothing, AI will never be, it will never be as smart as you. It will never be able to create the same sort of depth and beauty and light and like true like magic of your own soul. And then with the weight loss drugs, there's a similar thing that I see of this like level of disconnection. And and I get it because we're all really busy. We're strapped. We're strapped for time. We want to feel good in our bodies. We want to feel successful. We want to be able, time has changed a lot, which is like a whole thing that you and I could probably talk about for like 75 hours. So I'm not even going to get into it. But I think that when I look at like these things are all an effort to sate some sort of deep, essentially existential awareness that we're having and then come in and say, you know what, don't go deep. Don't do the actual work. Don't engage in a true like reclamation of your soul. Don't like engage in like a true depth of like real healing and restoration. We're going to hand you these easy peasy little things that are going to make it super easy. And when I look at people who are engaged in these things, there's like a really serious energetic disconnection. And it's like there's like a hollowness and an emptiness and a sadness, particularly as it relates to like AI and weight loss. I can see it in people's eyes. I can see it in like the pallor of their skin, and I can see it in their energy fields because there's this particularly strange thing, especially with the weight loss drugs, where it's like it's creating your body, it's shifting your body, but you haven't actually digested, as it were, any of the emotional parts that create certain things to be true in a human form. And so it's like the energetic weight that caused you to become disconnected from your body to begin with has not been addressed, and that is still present in people's field. That
Mm.
is very scary to me because I don't think as a long game that is going to like benefit people. We're already seeing that there are people who are saying, whoa, like I went off of these things, it did not work well for me. And there's a connection between all of these things, and they're related to this energy of like transhumanism and AI, and really helping to keep us very disconnected from our truth, from our power, from our magic. And it's just, I mean, I feel like you and I could probably like write like multiple different books about this. We're trying to be really like mindful of like keeping these, short, on the shorter end, although we're going to be doing like deeper dives every like fifth episode or so, where we just go like wild and, record for like an episode for a lot longer. But this is really important. And it is, and what I would say before I pass the band over to you when we wrap it up is if you're going, right, you and I run online businesses, online practices, it's woven into the tools that we use. Understood. Okay. That there is a way where like we're all engaging with it, whether we are consciously, like I have never used Chat GPT. I'm not doing that kind of stuff, but I also set an intention every morning for myself. And I say, every system with which I engage works with and for me. And that includes any technological things. It includes all of the other stuff, the systems that run through my home, right? Like because all of these systems, I believe have like hinky business woven into them that are meant to disrupt and distract and harm us. And so just if you're, it's not going to be perfect. We're at a complex point in human history, but as much as you can stay true to yourself, as much as you can disengage from these systems, and when you do need to engage with them, truly setting the intention that every single system that you engage with works with and for you, right? Not the other way around, because that's also part of the con is that like we're told that these systems are essentially for us. Everything works for us. That is my like literal one of the biggest visions that I hold for all of us is that we remember that. So, okay, I feel like I've been just talking like the micro machines man trying to cram like
I know, right?
like 52 hours worth of content into 12 minutes.
Basically, yes. Both of us. Yeah, totally. I mean, everything that you said, I categorically agree with everything that you said too. And I think it's very interesting the observation, the connection that you made between the Jabberwocky and the AI and in all the ways, not just ChatGPT, just it's just interwoven into our lifestyles now. It is sort of like very challenging to completely extricate ourselves from the influences of AI. Um, and then also the weight loss drugs, totally. I mean, it's all to, yeah, like hold us in a lower frequency, artificial frequencies. It definitely plays on loneliness, alienation. Like a lot of people, and again, like I hope everybody listening understands that it's the opposite of me judging you. It is like I fucking love you and don't want my fellow people who I love so much to keep getting pulled down this road of abuse. That's what it comes down to. And I know that a lot of people who are going through spiritual awakening and so disorienting, and when you wake up and everybody else around you is asleep, it can feel, I mean, I lived it for 10 years and I often say, you could not pay me $1 million to go back and relive my 20s. I don't give a shit how young and like pretty I was. I don't care. It sucked. It was so hard. I appreciate how lonely and alienating it is and disorienting. And isn't it so convenient that large language model free AIs are available to conversate with and to tease this apart? And it appears very helpful, but it also ultimately gets you nowhere. And again, it's like it's to lull you into these little it's this is all a labyrinth, okay? The fourth dimensional false matrix is built like a hella complex labyrinth. The fifth dimensional reality, the heaven on earth template is it's more like a snowflake. It's this beautiful, completely open, continuous flowing energy system where the energy flows like a breath, like in and out of the beating heart of creation at all times. The labyrinth of the false matrix ultimately still has a beating heart at the center, but there are all these like convoluted paths to try and get there and all these like dead ends, and it's just terrible. And the ways that AI is handed to us as a tool of convenience as well as weight loss drugs and just like a way to shortcut through, this is not the shortcut to this, the beating heart at the center of the labyrinth, is what I'm trying to say. It is not the shortcut. It will lead you into a dead end. It doesn't mean that you'll die there and you'll get trapped and you'll never retrieve your soul. It's just about, I just don't even believe that's real. I think that's totally like woven into the whole spiritual community to fill people with fear and dread and keep them at a lower vibration of disempowerment. Your soul is yours. Your soul is real. It's eternal. Creation is eternal. The beating heart of creation is eternal. But there is a shortcut to that beating heart at the center of the labyrinth. It is your heart and your willingness to be in your heart and be with others through your heart, whether they're in their heart or not, which is challenging, but it's totally doable. And to like deeply be with yourself and your circumstances and your wounds and your fears and your emotions, and like have so much compassion and forgiveness for yourself that then overflows out of you and extends to all other beings everywhere. That's the shortcut. AI is not the shortcut. Weight loss drugs are not the shortcut. And bullshit pharmaceuticals that, purport to provide you like security from the mortal vulnerability of our vessel, our temporary vessel, is not the shortcut either. There's a fine print on all of it. It costs you, more than money. It costs you in the important ways. And it's just important to be aware of it. And I love what you offered, Andrea. I think that's the perfect sort of like end note so we can record another episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And like you guys, we will definitely like I'm sure we will like get into more of this because there's so much more to this, right? And like certainly please like comment, let us know how this resonates and lands. Like I'm sure that a lot of you listening will feel like this is very, resonant with you. And I will also just say like I am no stranger to needing, I have been chronically ill and previously I was disabled by nerve pain. So like I have known all kinds of different weights in my adult life, which I also forgot to just mention, but I want to say that too is like, I'm not saying this from an uninformed place of someone who has not experienced a lot of massive fluctuations and shifts in my human body over time. And I have always ultimately known that the key to like going back into a body where like I feel really powerful and strong is to do a lot of emotional, spiritual, and physical work, essentially, because Amy said it beautifully. There are no shortcuts and there is no free lunch.
mhm,
So,
mhm. Not in this
um,
labyrinth.
not in this labyrinth.
Also,
So, Yeah.
Can I also just invite anybody who's watching this episode too? Let us know if you like these topics. Let us know if there are other topics you would like to hear us talk about, and if you have any
Please.
questions, based on our limited transmissions here.
Yeah, yeah, we would really, we're like very much people who want, we're here to build true community and like truly restore the truth. Now, I've used the word truth so many times. So please do that. Find us in all the places. amybelair.com is Amy's website. My website is weareheretoremember.com. I'm going to put like a tiny pitch in for myself here. I am teaching live right now a course called Made for Miracles. It runs through the middle of next week, December 17th. Our first live call is tomorrow. This is the program where I teach you how to manifest. It's so much fun. You can register through the comments. Amy, if there's anything you want to like plug for yourself, feel free to do that. And then we'll just wrap it up and see you on the next episode, my dudes.
Yeah, I'll just plug my free Fuck the False Matrix masterclass. Come check it out.
Okay, we love you so much. Till next time, sweethearts. Bye bye.